Welcome to Life Workshop, where we discuss the forgotten basics. Hi everyone, as usual, your most favorite host and co-host are here, Bo and Mo.
Hello.
Hi. So again, the topic of this episode is gossip, good or bad. Of course, I'm going to recap some stuff that we said in the previous podcast. That really the gossip, sometimes is it gossip or is it the rumor, as well as, or is it venting? Of course, venting is a gossip, but the reasoning basically behind it. And then we talked that, there are three types of people normally, that people who talk about people who talk about the news, and the other ones that people who talk about ideas. So we have a tendency to do one more than the other. But at the same time, when we gossip, often we talk about our own feelings. We don't talk necessarily about the facts. And then everybody gets their own spin on it, which it takes it, the reality basically is not a first-hand information anymore. It becomes a second and third, and it just becomes, because if I say something about the other person to Bo, and then Bo takes it and says it in a different way to the third person about the person I was talking about, and then it just keeps going on. By the time, it's just completely lost.
Right.
So, and because of that, we try, I said, if you want to, is it important to talk about other people? Sometimes we have to create a better understanding who the person is. And often we actually talk nice about others. So the gossips that we do more often is nice.
Yeah, but a lot of the time I think it's just checking in.
Yeah, but again, we have to make sure that we are not exaggerating. And that is one of the main problems, I would say, that we have, that if we make things look too fancy and good, and it's not real, then the other party will be disappointed.
Yeah.
So
well, that's the same thing as that's one of your rules, isn't it? Don't make it Hollywood.
Don't. Exactly.
So on either way.
Either way, exactly. Just say the facts, say what has happened, and if your impression, you can say my impression was this, but this was the fact that happened. Otherwise, it gets very polluted, that everybody gives it their own spin, it gets a different color, and then before you know it is completely out. But as I said, we talked about this briefly too, that sometimes it's venting. For example, somebody does something, you just get mad or whatever, and then
Dan.
Yeah, Dan. And then, for example, I come and I'm just simply, I have to talk it out to just get it out. And then I tell you, and you should be responsible to get me to be more realistic, or just listen to it and let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Don't count on it. Sometimes it is as simple as that. Not that to hear that and give it your own spin, or tell somebody else, or return it to the gossiper, to the person who has been gossiped about. However, so again, we do gossiping for different reasons, and really we have to know the intention, that why we gossip. Sometimes it is to create a bonding, because I want to bond with you. I need a
common enemy.
A common enemy. I said, and of course, really, we don't have to create one. There are lots of common enemies there, or common problems there, that we can bond and fix those things. Or
that always reminds me of Megatron and Optimus Prime when we were kids watching Transformers cartoons.
Okay.
And they would always bond against the common enemy.
But actually now
so dumb.
Yeah. But another thing, let's say this Dan that you're talking about did something that's absolutely wrong. Mm-hmm. And you came and complained about Dan to me. One of the things that I can do, and we can bond on, we don't have to bond against Dan. We can bond against the action or the behavior that Dan expressed. And
how do you go about turning that around?
Actually, this is the thing. For example, we can say that, hey, he did this. Then we can start thinking, how can we get him to realize that is not good?
But we're still talking about Dan.
That's correct. It is a gossip. But there is a productivity to it. This time, we give it the spin from talking about people to talking about the ideas. So what it means, we are talking about the idea of how we can help Dan to realize the behavior that is wrong. or is affecting us in a negative way, versus Dan sucks or Dan is bad as a whole thing.
But I want you to tell me Dan sucks.
To make you feel better.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan sucks.
Oh, you just wrecked it. You're not following your own advice.
But so this is where I'm going. So that if we want to stop a gossiper, really we should help actually the gossiper. If it is again, you want to see the intention. When I'm talking about this, is kind of a complicated to see what's the intention of the person. If really he's venting, then you just can listen and you can just sometimes let it go. Sometimes is to say, hey, now if this is something ongoing, what can we do to help Dan to behave? Because to let him know that it's affecting us.
I think if someone's venting about somebody else, I think it's best just to smile and nod and shut up, not necessarily agree, because that can be unhealthy. Like we were just saying, like, I just want you to say bad stuff about Dan too, right? But if a person is venting and then you come along and say, well, why don't you, or giving advice or saying, oh, he's not so bad, do this, right? That's not what a person wants to hear right now. They just want to say their piece, be heard, and then that can be the end of it. And then maybe it'll be a later conversation.
Yeah. So that
to
again,
come back and try and
you're
change people's ideas,
You're right. And it happens again. It goes back to what I said. What's the intention of the gossiper?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If he's just venting, just let them go and that's it. But sometimes if we are talking about the behavior that is continuous, a one-time thing, sure. But if it's a behavior that Dan has that is repeated over and over and it keeps bugging you or bugging others, then maybe we should somehow talk about how we can help Dan to realize that versus bitching about Dan.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right.
So we can give it that a spin. Again, it's a gossip, but this time it becomes a healthier version. Or to see why Dan is doing that. First to realize that and then see, is there a problem? Because sometimes it can't be us. Because sometimes that we gossip is not because, one of the reasons is because I don't want to be proven wrong, but I want somebody's approval. So it's easier to talk about Dan and get your approval versus telling Dan, hey, why did you do that? And then Dan proves me wrong that, what, he did it with good reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, that more goes into that bonding thing that you're talking about, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And the bonding, as well as, my own weakness, that I don't want to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want to be proven wrong. I want Dan be the bad guy. Doesn't matter at any cost. And I'm the good guy. So again, the reasoning behind there was this, listing that, that we do that sometimes for bonding. Sometimes really we want to, it's out of jealousy too. We want to just, wreck somebody's reputation or something.
Yeah.
So you want to see what the intention is. Is the intention really venting, or if it is a kind of they try to bond, but they are taking the wrong spin to that? Or is it they want to really ruin the other party because they are jealous of it? What is the reasoning behind this? And then based on the reasoning, then you can decide what kind of action to take or reaction, I should say, what you want to do about it. And sometimes it's just, I don't know. Again, we have to realize that the reasoning behind that the gossiping. But again, as a general rule, sometimes it is healthy. Because, for example, you want to talk it out. If you want to keep it to yourself, it hurts you. And if, for example, Dan doesn't let you to bring it up with him, or you cannot bring it up, then you can maybe come and say that, hey, Mo, how can I just bring it up? It bothers me. He's doing this thing. And just is ongoing. Then
that's all healthy stuff.
It is healthy. So it is okay to gossip in that sense, But if now somebody really is a regular gossiper, then how do you stop them? Again, becomes around the same thing. To get them to talk about, first of all, some good stuff about Dan too. Does he have any good thing, or is just a completely bad person? As well as, to say, hey, I'm going to be, telling Dan that you told me this. Because I want you...
I wouldn't do that.
No, but sometimes you want to stop the gossiper. If it's a behavior that, it just goes on, so that they know that there is a reaction.
So.
If you keep saying that, I'm going to tell him, how.
that that could maybe be why I'm sort of like, ew, maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe that's because I was grew up here and that's sort of the predominant culture.
And
You know
if,
how you were saying
yeah,
sometimes that we're not like, you know,
we are trying
as
to be
direct.
nice. Correct. In this part of the world, definitely that one I can say for sure. I feel very comfortable to say that we are a lot more nicer. You want to talk about nice things, everything. Oh, I love your shirt, or your shirt sucks, by the way. No, not you.
No, it's
Not the top
not my
one.
best shirt, but
But we take these things a little bit too far, and I think it just doesn't work. And actually, I really believe this is one reason that we have a little more stress and not the stress, but depression and anxiety. I think this is one because we are not realistic, and we think that if as soon as somebody says that, hey, I don't like your shirt, then it means that you don't like me and I'm the bad person. No, no, no. We just talked about the shirt. That was it. And you can change it. Or we all have flaws. If I mention a flaw that you have, that's all I said. I didn't say that you're a whole bad person. We all do have, and that was the reason to bring it up. So if you want to work on the flaw, that's all. And it's my idea of it.
have you ever said something to someone like, "Oh, that was I don't like what you're doing," or that was stupid or something? They're like, "Okay, well, why don't I just go die then?"
You know what? To be honest, you're saying that in one case, I told somebody, I said, "Are you coming?
Yeah,
Just are you kidding me?"
That's totally happened to me before.
Once it happened, they said that no, you think you're perfect? Who told you that you're perfect? If your mama told you, your mama lied to you. Nobody is.
Oh, now you just insulted their mom. Whoa, man!
It just keeps going on. I'm just digging it deeper.
How not
and
to
deeper.
make a friends by a mo.
But again, so it goes back to for stopping a gossiper. But again, you want to see the intention of it, then you can decide on how to do it. But sometimes, just or ask them for details too. That, for example, if you're gossiping about that, oh, tell me some details. But you be very factual. Because and then sometimes that would be enough to make the person to be more realistic, and themselves they realize this has happened, that the person becomes more realistic. You know what? No, actually I took it too far. Sometimes that on its own is enough.
Yeah.
For the gossiper to realize that, what, no, maybe I went too far. And sometimes it just doesn't work. That's it. Then in that case, you can maybe say that, hey, you know what? To be honest, because of the way that you're doing these things, I'm scared I feel not comfortable, I don't feel comfortable to spend time with you because you're going to do the same thing to me. I would be very straightforward and I bring it up because I highlight the flaws, but at the same time, the good stuff. But I talk only about that specific thing. So if I'm talking about your shirt that I need to talk, I talk only about the shirt, not the whole thing. But anyways, so these were some of the things that we discussed in the previous podcast that took most of the time already. But it is said that often, for example, when it comes to the gossip part of it, we overestimate our own abilities and underestimate other people's. And then when they make a mistake, it becomes the whole personality versus just that we talk about that. This goes back to the thing that say we should talk about facts only. Then it makes us more reasonable on what we are talking about. That if we keep it real, then we don't mislead ourselves too. And our own feelings would be better. Yeah. Again, as I have said in previously, the way you think dictates the way you feel. So if we keep it factual, it stays much better.
Yeah.
One example, for example, if I say that this person was late to work, and then Dan was late to work, and then the other party, if in a gossiper words, oh my God, he doesn't care about others. He does this. They just keep going on. Right?
That's going too far.
But we do this very frequently. We just make take it out of the proportion. It's not just that behavior,
and then you start psychoanalyzing Dan.
Yeah. Just because of one thing,
because he was late sometimes.
And as a matter of fact, I'm saying this honestly. This happened. I should say this. Once I was talking about. I had a bit of a staffing issue at one point, and I brought it up with somebody, and then they just took it. But these people, they were not people who run a business, or they were not in management. They took it completely out of proportion. I said, whoa! Now I have to slow you down. I talked about one flaw that the other party had, in my opinion. He has a lot of other good stuff to him. And it was very interesting when I talked to somebody who was knowledgeable versus somebody who wasn't knowledgeable or didn't have the experience. At the same time, when I discussed that with some other friends who were more educated and experienced, for example, a few friends that they had their own businesses or they were in management, that they had other people underneath them, the way that they approached it was completely different. It was very interesting, such a huge difference, versus the ones that they didn't have employee under them. They were not, business owners, and they hadn't been in that management part. So they would come with their own ideas, and a lots of them, and then it was just getting completely unrealistic. In the gossip board is the same. It's just the same behavior. It just gets repeated. That's all I'm trying to say. But if we try very simply, stick to the facts, then that is all we need to do. I'm going to now try, I will bring this up. When we say, for example, Dan is late, if Dan was of a different color, or the name of Dan was Abdullah, it would not be just Dan or Abdullah. It would be the whole Muslim community or the whole race or the whole thing. We do that. We do that very commonly. Of course. So, are we doing it or not?
All the time.
Yeah.
We have to look through everything through the lens of race. Let's just stop doing that.
We generalize it. And it's not just the concept of race I'm talking. We just generalize it based on the gender, because sexual orientation, I don't know.
Only if
sexuality.
Only if we don't really know Dan. If we know Dan as a human being and a person, we don't do that anymore.
That's correct. Thank you.
So stop.
No, that you're right.
Looking at everything through the lens of race, and stop looking for racism where
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying exactly what you just said. I say when we don't know Dan, then we make it the whole Dan, not just one behavior of Dan.
If we don't even know Dan, we shouldn't be talking about Dan that way.
That is correct, but this is how the gossip works.
You don't gossip about people you don't know. That's just some guy.
Actually, this is how gossip works. We talk about the things that we don't know. We make it up. That is how it comes a lot. Gossip, a lot of time, is about the things that we don't know we are talking. And because of that, if we talk about facts, again, it's a gossip, but it's healthy. But when we are talking, we take it out of proportion, because then it's not facts anymore. It gives it, we give it our own spin.
Okay. So when I'm talking about my apprentice, let's say, and I'm saying, oh, look at what guy did, blah, blah. By the way, he's white. Has that ever happened?
Actually, yeah.
No, bullshit.
Oh, no, not you.
You have
okay,
no idea what
you
race
haven't.
tailored
No,
is.
you haven't done that. If you mean but how I hear it, absolutely. By the way, they attach it to something that is completely irrelevant. Well, myself, I have asked this. And so, what is the connection between this and that? But we do actually very frequently that we connect it to something else. It's like my own. So myself, when I built my house, because it looked a bit different, one of the friends was insisting, how much of it is Iranian? Where did you get the Iranian? Nothing. That I had no answer. That's just the windows.
There's nothing. It's like modern.
I made it for me. But we do connect things in a very wrong ways, or just randomly.
I don't think so. I don't think, I'm going to bulk on that one. I don't think in the realm of God.
All plumbers do that. I'm kidding. All white plumbers do that. I'm just kidding. No, people from Saskatoon.
I don't know. I don't know what to say right now. Are you saying that we're all the same?
Hey, I had to generalize it somehow. This damn Saskatoon. I'm going to make it now more personal. Regina versus Saskatoon.
Do you think we're electricians?
But in all seriousness, we do exactly connect it the wrong way. Although yes, if we do know Dan, then it would be more about that specific behavior. So the gossip works much better if you talk about somebody or something that you don't know, or about our characteristics that we don't know. It works much better. You can just make some more rumors and makes it hot and juicy. And we do that. But again,
how to sell tickets, kids.
but at the same time, again, it's just because of we take it out of the, when we are not talking about the facts again, we are talking about some parts that is unknown. If you are talking about some of the things that are known, then the gossip doesn't go that far.
Yeah. I don't know.
Actually,
I don't know.
Okay, it is for
that's just that you went too far for me.
I'm not too sure, but anyway, so that's okay. It's just something for the listeners to judge, to agree with me, not you. But again, how to stop somebody from, how do you stop that, you don't get hurt if, for example, I'm the victim and I'm have been gossiped about. If somebody other people are talking about me, if, for example, and this has happened.
Well, then you, if it's about you and you're not comfortable with whatever, if you someone's saying bad things about you or something, you confront that person, right? And usually,
correct.
which is super uncomfortable. But
and it has happened. In one case, I heard that somebody had said something, but I was not sure. Did that person say, or the news bearer twisted it? Because I don't know.
Because most of the time, that's what's happened, or someone said something and someone takes it in a different context.
Correct, and
right?
because
sometimes it's just bitching about something that happened, the person did whatever, and it wasn't supposed to go any farther.
Yeah. And myself, I went, for example, I don't like to use the word confronting, but I brought up with this person. I said, this person told me you said that, and I wanted just to make sure that, is that true? Did you say that? And then if you did, why did you do that? And I'm trying just to understand why. And I was trying to make this person to feel comfortable to speak and make them, because it was a friend, he's a friend. And I was a kind of surprised. But anyway, so what the real fact was, I never understood, because she was saying something, the other person was saying something else. I left it there. I didn't worry about it, but I just do what I do. That's all it is. I don't let that bother me. I cannot control others, but I can control my behaviors. And you cannot make me mad. I decide to become mad or not. But I brought it up so just to see that, and I was trying to be very friendly, that why did you bring it up? Why did you say that? And what's the reason? How did you draw that conclusion? Of course, that person denied that they have said it in that way. But I believe it has stopped some of the things just right there, instead of me getting just mad at her or something.
Yeah, it usually does.
Yeah, and actually, is a friend, and we're still, we are friends. Again, it didn't necessarily. I mean, it kind of created a bump, but it was not. It was not a deal breaker, because she has a lot of other good stuff about her. So and these things happen.
I guess it's a thing to keep in mind too, that we all at some point have said something about somebody, and things have been said about us too, and like you said, it doesn't have to wreck your friendship. If something does happen,
depending on the case scenario, if it is
That's
something
true.
that depending on the case.
Yeah, you're right.
Not all the time, but again, you see the intentions, the severity of it, and if you can help the other party, doesn't matter, the gossiper or the news bearer, or if it doesn't matter, you want to stay very factual and just in a very, I would say, unbiased and friendly way, understand why you did what you did, what's the reasoning, because by doing that we help everybody to improve. I'm hoping that is the best that I can do. Is it gonna work? That's another story, but I do my part. Anyway, I hope that you find this helpful, and gossip has its good and bad. It's just fine. It's just that what's the intention behind it, and sometimes if it is harmful, then you want to stay away from those poisonous people.
Yep.
Okay. And I hope again this was helpful, and if you guys can start thinking about this and then discussing with some other people, that why do we do what we do, or some other people they do it.
They'll just be gossiping about us.
True. Anyway, again, life is simple. Let's not make it complicated. Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.